prove to myself that I was good enough to play in the professional game.
And you stayed local and signed for Dulwich Hamlet. Fantastic club, brilliant community spirit, and arguably everyone's second team in South East London these days. Funnily enough, my last football game live was there just before the lockdown against Hemel Hempstead, which was great. There's about 2,500 there, I think. Can you remember that popularity growing when you were there and how good the crowds were for that level?
Yeah, I really do. Because my first 2-3 seasons there, there used to be we'd get maybe 200-300 fans, and that would be like a decent turnout. And it wasn't really a gradual increase; it was quite a quick increase. And then all of a sudden, we started regularly getting over 1,000 fans. And I think a lot of stuff that the club was involved with, like community work and things like that, really brought an attraction. And by my last couple of seasons, we were getting over 2,000 fans for most of the home games, which is incredible for that level.
And Gavin Rose is the manager, who's still there today, I think, and he gave you your debut. Can you remember the first time he asked you to play centre back after you'd mainly been a winger or a fullback?
Yeah, I remember. It was actually in a pre-season game. I wasn't actually meant to play centre back either. I think one of the players that was meant to start at centre back pulled out of the game with an injury, so I was kind of just there to fill in at centre back. And since that game, I've kind of just never looked back. That's been my position since then.
And you saw success there, and then you went from one great community club to another great community club in Forest Green Rovers. Were a lot of teams interested in you back then at that point? And how did you end up signing for Forest Green?
Yeah, I think there were a few other teams, a couple that were in the league as well. But I felt, that I wanted to, at that stage of my career, I wanted to go to somewhere that I was going to continue developing and playing. And, after speaking with the manager, Mark Cooper, the way the club played and the way it was run, and, how the chairman, Dale Vince, was really invested in the club, it really made me want to be a part of it. And, they were really intent on success. And, fortunately, we were able to get the promotion that everyone was after.
Yeah, it's a special club in more ways than one, dubbed the greenest in the world by FIFA. How much did you enjoy your time down there?
Yeah, I really did. It was just a year, but the people around the club, the fans there as well, it's a really small club in terms of its fan base and things like that. But they really stick together. Obviously, with as you said, the green side. It was vegan. A lot of the meals were vegan, but all the boys were really open-minded and were on board with it. And it is a really good club.
And then you mentioned you beat Tranmere in the playoff final, and you got promoted. But then Barnsley came calling, and you made the move to Oakwell. How did the Barnsley move come about? Had we been showing interest in you throughout the season?
As the seasons are playing, I kind of just always want to focus on just playing. And, my agent, he knows what I'm like. He knows that I don't really need to be reassured about things all the time. So he kind of just lets me get on with playing, and then he kind of takes care of the other side. He did mention it to me. And, when I went and spoke to Hecky, the meeting we had, it was really personalised to me, and I really felt that it was a club that really wanted me there, and he made me feel like he really wanted me to be a part of the club, and that really sold it to me. And I was really intent on coming to Barnsley after that.
That's fantastic. So he didn't have to sell you South Yorkshire as a big move all the way from Forest Green.
No, and obviously being in the Championship, it was a big step up. But as a player, I think we always need to challenge ourselves, and being given that opportunity to play in the Championship was another big thing. And although I think the season before, you finished I think it was about mid-table.
Yeah,
So I
just
knew,
below. Yeah.
yeah, so I knew, there were a lot of good players at the club, and the chance to play and train with better players was something that I really didn't want to turn down.
And you talk about jumping up in class and levels. Can you remember those first few training sessions with the first team, and which of the players were the ones that impressed you the most?
Yeah, I can't specifically remember, but I do, because I think when I signed, we went straight out to one of the pre-season camps. But I do remember the pace of the play and the sharpness of players was really good. I remember doing a lot of runs out there as well. But yeah, I think just the overall level. I think the players at the back are all more comfortable on the ball. The midfielders, they're always thinking 1-2 passes ahead, and the strikers are more punishing at that level. So yeah, I really noticed the difference straight away.
And a couple of people have said, because it's such a young squad at Barnsley, it's really easy to come into it and everyone gets along. Which players did you bond with first?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. We had a really young side there, so a lot of the boys could understand where we're all coming from. As I mentioned before, when I signed, we were straight away. I think I signed the day before we was going away, and I remember Zeki just signed as well, so I ended up rooming with Zeki. So he was like one of the first players that I got to know, and also Yids, being a young London boy as well, got along with Yids really well. But I think as a team, everyone. There wasn't really like little groups here and there. It was kind of, we was all in this together.
Oh, nice. And obviously it was a big jump for you, just in terms of the divisions. Did you set yourself any expectations when you first joined? So were you signing, hoping to develop into a first team player rather than getting involved straight away?
No, I'd say that, my aim was always to play as many games as I could. Where I'd always been used to playing a lot of games. So I did kind of want to get in and, prove that I could play straight away. Obviously, it didn't work out like that. There were players ahead of me that had been playing that level already and that were like more established. So I had to be patient. But, that's football, there's going to be times where you got to fight for your place, and that's all part and parcel of the game.
Yeah, and then some of those established players got injured, and pretty quickly you were in the first team and putting in some really good performances. Can you remember making your debut at Oakwell?
Yeah, my debut was Preston.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember because it was was it Boxing Day? I think it was, or just before Boxing Day.
Just before, yeah.
Yeah, so I remember it being around Christmas, and yeah, I think we drew that game, but yeah, it was, once I knew that I was going to be starting, at home, it was a really big thing for me to make my full home debut. And yeah, it's a fun. I think we done well that game, but we didn't manage to win. But it was a good performance from the boys in that game.
And then comes your first goal for the club, 91st minute equaliser at home to Reading. Can you remember the goal, and can you remember Hecky's instruction that basically meant you were playing as a striker for the last 5 minutes?
Yeah, so earlier in the half, he told me from the sideline, in the last 10 minutes, if we're still just one behind, he's going to send me up top. So yeah, basically that just meant, when we get the ball out wide, just get your head on it. So yeah, I remember Izzy got the ball out wide, and I've kind of just tried to hold out a bit and try and find a bit of space in the box. And then he's gone past his man, crossed it. And as the ball's coming, I just thought, oh, this is coming to me. so yeah, just try to make sure I got my head on it and just try to aim low, get the ball down. And because, you always get told that it's difficult for keepers to get low from headers. So I just tried to head it into the ground, and yeah, luckily it's gone in.
I'm not going to lie at this point. You then went and got the winning goal away at Sunderland the very next game, and I thought we'd found the solution to all our goal scoring problems with someone scoring 2 and 2. At this point, did you feel like you'd fully settled into life at Barnsley?
Yeah, I did. Because as much as being everyone, it's always want to be part of a team. When you're not playing, it is really difficult. You always want the best for the boys, but there's always that part of you that wants to be involved and wants to actually be out there on the pitch helping the team. So after getting a run of games, I did feel like a lot more included, and it does make you kind of get that extra bit of confidence within yourself that you should be playing at this level. You're good enough to be playing at this level.
And I keep mentioning the jumping levels, but can you remember in any of your early games coming off the pitch or coming off at half time and just being in awe of a certain player or a particular team in terms of how good they were?
Yeah, but this wasn't even from when I was playing. I think the first game of the season, I remember Bristol City away. And, before that game, I thought throughout pre-season, the boys looked good. We looked fairly sharp. But in that first half against Bristol City, I think they scored 2 or 3 goals really early on. And I thought, wow, like these boys are good. Like, it's going to be a tough old season.
And do you think that's the difference? Is that we always talk about how clinical teams are, as in like lower down the leagues, they might miss 2 or 3 chances. And then as you move up the leagues, it's just 1 chance, 1 goal.
Yeah, that's it. So literally just that one lapse of concentration is the difference between, a goal or not. And I think, even if it's not particularly a defensive mistake, even if it's losing the ball higher up, the way teams counter and transition is a lot better as you go up the leagues. They're more punishing. You got really good players that can pick out the right passes and know when to pass. And yeah, it is really punishing.
And in terms of managers at Oakwell in your first season, we mentioned that Hecky brought you to the club and then he left after getting frustrated with lots of things, as he told us a few weeks ago. As a member of the first team, could you sense that he was frustrated before he left?
No, I don't. I think he kind of tried to keep the players away from that. So obviously you always hear murmurs about this and that, but I think he tried to keep it away from the players so that we could kind of just focus on the games and trying to get as many points as we could in that sense.
And were you and the team surprised when you were told that he'd gone to Leeds United?
Yeah. I think where did I hear? I think I heard it on Sky Sports News first. So
right.
yeah, because I think he just signed another Barnsley contract not too long before that. So I think a lot of the boys were surprised especially after hearing about the contract. So
and what's it like? What's it like when you go back to training the next day after a manager's left by surprise? What's everybody like?
Yeah, it was a bit strange. It was everyone. Yeah, we weren't really sure what was going on, but I think after a day or two, everyone's like, okay, that's done now. So we just gotta focus on ourselves now and make sure we do everything we can to try and stay up.
Yeah, that makes sense. And look, we replaced Hecky with a real curveball of an appointment in Jose Mouret, who kind of came out of nowhere, and the mission was to keep us up. How did he try and change things when he got the job?
Yeah, he was a different kind of manager to Hecky. He really wanted to try and motivate us. I think he enjoyed having meetings with all the players where he kind of just trying to inspire us kind of thing. He had lots of videos that he'd show us to try and get us going and things like that. And yeah, it was a different kind of motivation. But there's always coaches that are going to do things differently, especially when they've come from a different kind of culture of football.
And he brought you back into the team towards the end of the season, 2-0 win against Brentford, funnily enough, and that gave us a real chance away at Derby. Can you remember how we prepared for that game, and just based on how important it was, and what was Jose saying to the players before you went on the pitch?
Yeah, so the boys, basically we all knew that it was make or break time, and as I was saying before, before the game, he gave a really motivational speech, and got everyone in together and tried to just get us to boost each other up. I actually think before they actually scored, I think we had a decent start to the game, but I think I remember them scoring off a counter from our corner, and I think after that a few of the boys' heads kind of just dropped, and trying to get everyone going again was tough. I think it was a case of maybe some of the boys thought, "Oh, here we go again," kind of thing. And once we went that goal behind, it was really difficult to try and chase the game and get back into it.
Yeah, we did start off pretty well, and then it just kind of got worse as the game went on and the heads dropped.
Yeah.
But and how low was the dressing room at the end of the game, knowing that we were relegated?
Yeah, a lot of the boys were devastated. Obviously, I think for a lot of the boys, it was our first time playing in the Championship as well. So it was a big reality hit to a lot of us. But it wasn't, obviously relegation is never nice. I think it was the first time for a lot of us to be relegated as well. So the changing room after, everyone was really down. But the Jose tried to pick us up and try and pick everyone's heads up. But it's really difficult because the emotions are really raw at that time.
And I was going to ask, did Jose do a post-match team talk and travel back with you? Because obviously it was announced quite quickly that he was moving on, and we were going to need a new manager. But did he still do the team talk after the game?
I can't remember if he actually travelled back with us or not. But he did. He talked about how he really enjoyed his time there and working with everyone, and that he felt he didn't think it was through lack of effort from the players. He felt that we all gave what we could. So yeah.
And then last question on that season, just how good is Ollie McBurney as a player and as a character in the dressing room?
He's a legend. He's funny, Ollie. When you look at him, you'd never think, because he's just so he's just laid back and he's just so relaxed. But his brain, his football brain's really good, and he always knows where to be. He's 2 steps ahead sometimes, and his finishing as well, as I'm sure he's a really good finisher, and just got a really good football brain in him.
Yeah, and he's probably the first player to win Player of the Year, even though he only joined at the end of January as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, more positive times were on the horizon, even though we've been relegated. So Daniel Stendel comes in the summer, brand new head coach, unknown to pretty much everybody. What can you remember about his approach to pre-season and trying to change the style of play?
Well, just remembering him being really, passionate and right from the off. I think one of his first team meetings, he basically had a slideshow of his high press. I think it's called the Gegen press.
Yeah.
And basically showing us videos of teams using the press and the formations that he wanted us to play and how he'd want us to play. And I think it was really good for the boys to see it, because it kind of gave us this fresh new feeling, and all the boys were really ready to get going straight from the off.
And did he say anything to you personally about the season ahead and the role that he wanted you to play and has been successful?
Not really specifically to me, but he always got on us defenders, telling us that he wanted us to be driving the rest of the team forward, and he wanted us to be the leaders and make sure the boys in front of us are always doing their jobs, because if they don't come from us, then the players ahead are usually lazier than the defenders.
And speaking of someone who wasn't lazy, which was Daniel Stendel when he was on the sideline, how energetic is he? And is it almost impossible for that passion not to rub off on you as a player?
Yeah, he is really energetic, and when you see him on the sideline, just really animated and full of life, it does help. It does resonate with the players, and it does help to keep us going, knowing that even though he's not out there on the pitch with us, but he's doing everything he can, and you could just see how much he wants it.
And was he like that in training as well? Was he always trying to get involved and play and stuff like that?
Yeah, even in training, it was the same. In our training games, you'd always be able to hear him on the side, pushing players and encouraging them, and giving little bits of advice here and there. And when there's a tackle, you just hear him like shouting, "Yeah," because he's always just loved the energy and just getting everyone going.
And one thing we could all see as Barnsley fans was how much he hated losing. How would you react to those rare defeats that we had that season?
Yeah, he didn't really react particularly badly. It'd be kind of a level kind of response. So he wouldn't, although he is really passionate, you could tell that he thinks about like what happened during the game rather than just going all out. And then obviously after a couple of days, so say the game was, if it's a Saturday game, we'd probably be off Sunday, and then Monday we'd focus more on it. So there wouldn't be too much focus on the loss straight after. But then by the time we come back on Monday, I think once everyone's had a chance to kind of process what's happened, then we'd kind of discuss it in a lot more detail.
And in terms of the season, we started it off so fast, and we never really slowed down much at all throughout the year until getting promoted. How enjoyable was it as a defender, just marshalling the back four and having so many attacking options to give the ball to?
Yeah, it was really enjoyable. Even when there were games that were really tight, that they were getting late on, we'd always have that belief that we've got the players to just produce that bit of magic, or a little bit of play between them to produce a goal. We always had that belief, and I think there were a few games where we got late goals to win us games and things like that. So it was really enjoyable, and we never really had to worry about not being able to score goals because we were quite free scoring.
And it was one of those strange promotions where players and fans were mainly celebrating on their own, unless you were in the garrison with Daniel Stendel. But were you just at home with the family, keeping in touch with players on WhatsApp?
Yeah, so I was literally, I had Sky Sports News on in the background, and I was just at home. And obviously I think it was Portsmouth and Sunderland were both playing. So the group chats just plodding along. And then towards the end of the games, I think they were both, I think they both just needed not to win, I think it was. And yeah, as the full-time whistle's gone, the group chat just went crazy, and then everyone just ended up meeting up in Sheffield that same night. Yeah.
Oh, did you? It's all the players went and met out in Sheffield.
All the staff as well. So yeah, all the staff, the goalie coach, the physios, everyone all met up and just celebrated.
Brilliant. And I mentioned it at the start, but we statistically had the best defence in the division that season. Yourself, Dimmy, Adam Davis made PFA Team of the Year along with Alex and Kiefer. What was it like going down to London for those awards and just dominating the stage with your teammates?
Yeah, I think we were all really humbled by it because obviously I think with the PFA vote, it's voted by players and stuff. So I think to know that your counterparts, the people you play against week in, week out, they've recognised that we had like a really strong team and really good set of players. I think we were all really humbled by it, and yeah, it was a real joy to be a part of that.
And what was it like? What was it like in terms of banter with the other players that were in the team that were still going for promotion with us?
What do you mean the
It's like
players?
McGeady at Sunderland or one of the guys from Portsmouth.
Oh, okay, yeah, we didn't actually really see them because every team had like their own table at different sections, so we didn't really see. You just saw like random players. I think they were like we was next to a couple of the Championship clubs, so I didn't actually see many of the other League One players. I think I saw a couple of the Luton boys. I was trying to say that they'd already gone up, so enjoy the playoffs, but didn't have to go through the playoffs in the end.
And you said how humbled and proud you were that you and the guys were in that PFA Team of the Year, but then you also won Barnsley Player of the Year. How proud was that for you?
Yeah, that was a really proud moment for me. These are the fans that you play in front of week in, week out, and to know that they appreciate the efforts that I put in was a really big thing for me, especially the fact that there were a lot of other players that have played to a really high level throughout the year. So yeah, I was really thankful for receiving that, and yeah, it was a really proud moment for me.
And for us fans watching, and like you said, for you playing, it was such an enjoyable season. What were your most memorable games that you can remember that you look back on?
Most memorable. There's a few that come to mind. I'll probably say Peterborough away. I think at the time they were really close. I think they must have been above us, or they were in and around where we were. So to win 4-0, and I think Davo saved the penalty as well.
Yeah.
I think that was a really, really massive game for us. I'd say Blackpool at home, because that was, I think Sunderland were playing Portsmouth that day, so we kind of knew that if we won, we'd eat up some ground on either one of them, or could both of them. Ended up being both of them. And then I'd say Burton away, because I think once we lost that game, we kind of sat down and said, "Look, boys, there's no more room for error now. We got to go out and win the next 3-4 games if we want to go up automatically." And then I think after that, that was the first time we won 4 league games in a row after that. So that kind of, that realization that we couldn't keep saying, okay, there's still lots of games to play, or we knew that we had to win those next few games after that.
And we talked about how young the Barnsley squad were, and everyone's kind of in it together. Who's the leaders in that dressing room when it's such a young squad? So who's standing up and saying, "Right, boys, we need to not mess up again"?
Yeah, so I think obviously you got Davo. He's probably the most experienced. Kiefer, Cam McGeehan, and Kenny and me. We were probably like the more senior kind of players in that squad, even though we was all 26 or under.
I'm gonna try and ask this next question without sobbing, but sadly that promotion season was the last time we saw you in a Barnsley shirt. Did you always know you were likely to leave in the summer?
No, I didn't actually. I actually set up for my little one. I applied for his school. He was due to start reception and everything. So I actually did it. It wasn't until quite late on that I knew that I was going to be moving on.
And were you close to signing a new contract before you went to Brentford?
Well, I knew that my agent was speaking to the club, but I kind of wanted to not really focus on that. I just wanted to make sure we got the promotion sorted before the talks and things like that. And then obviously they did have talks and stuff, but I think once I had heard about Brentford and all the ambitions and things like that, that kind of just swayed it for me.
And were Brentford the only team that you spoke to?
They were the ones that I was that I felt would be most suited to me. I think there was a couple other clubs that were interested, but once I knew about Brentford, obviously with the new stadium and how they've been doing the last few years and their ambitions, and where it's based back in London as well, where both mine and my partner's family, I think all those factors kind of made it make sense for me.
And then last question on this one, but is there anything we could have done to make you stay?
Well, I think I touched on it a bit before, the ambitions. I just felt like, obviously being in my first year, being in the Championship, I felt that we had a team, there was a lot of new players and it was really tough. And I felt like it would have been really important to just keep hold of, a lot of the squad that got us back. And I just felt like once I heard what Brentford had to say, I just didn't want to, I kind of wanted to take that next step and be competitive in the league and be trying to compete for as high as I can. Because I think as a sports person, you always want to be playing to try and win things. And at the end of the season, you want to be in and around the promotion places and try and have something to play for. And I just felt like that was the one for me.
And we'll close with just a few quick fire questions. So, top 3 Barnsley players that you played with?
Top 3, okay. Ollie McBurney, I'd say Andy Yidam, could play left back or right back, really comfortable on the ball, really good leader as well. And then I'd say Alex Moat, in that second year, he's just unreal.
And did you have a bromance or get a friend for life from your time at Oakwell, someone that you're still in touch with every day now?
Not really every day, but I think when you're in a team that does get promoted, you kind of always have that special bond with a lot of the players. So we still kind of have a group with all of us in. And I think a lot of the boys there, I still talk to from time to time. Maybe not every day, but a lot of the boys you still keep in touch. And I think once you win stuff with people, you always kind of have that special bond with them. So a lot of the boys I'm still like really good friends with.
And who thought they were the dressing room comedian out of that team?
There's a few. Well, obviously Potsy left in January, but he was quite funny, and Zeki as well. But there are quite a few self-said comedians.
And then you don't have to tell us the reasons why, but which player definitely made the most of the post-season trip to Vegas?
I'd probably say Kenny.
Yeah.
Out there on his one leg.
Brilliant. And then this is one that I think all Barnsley fans would love to know. What's Dimi Kavari really like?
No, I love Dimi. He's a maverick. Dimi, he's top player. He's a good guy. I think sometimes you kind of just need to give him that little bit of urgency for him to get going. But he is a top lad, really good guy. And he's just, I don't know, I think from just his culture, he's really just laid back naturally. So I think that can show in training sometimes, but sometimes you just need to give him a little momentum boost to get him going. But once he's up and running, you can't stop him. And
you can answer this one with no comment, but did any of the managers ever give a team talk that was linked to a cat?
No comment.
Look, and then just last question. Look, what are Ethan Pinnock's final words on his 2 seasons at Oakwell? How would you sum it all up for us?
Loved it down at Oakwell. Lovely club, lovely fans, lovely staff. I wouldn't change any of my time down there. And yeah, I wish nothing but the best for the club because it is a great club.
Look, brilliant note to end on, Ethan. Thanks from me, the Trust, Barnsley fans all over the world watching for the last hour or so. Thanks for being such a professional, important and outright brilliant player for us when you were at Oakwell.
No, thanks for having me. Yeah, as I said before, I did really enjoy my time there. So yeah, it's nice to be given a chance just to give back something to the fans.
Well, we really appreciate it. Look, final words from me before we sign off. We've only gone and managed to get Ashley Ward to join us on Thursday, so please make sure that one's in your diary for a 7 o'clock kickoff. Can you imagine that one's going to be a family favourite? So he's a handsome chap, is Ash. So I'm sure that'll be a family one. We can also confirm that Andy Rhodes, the first ever goalkeeper to win Player of the Year at Oakwell in 1984, just 35 years before Ethan Pinnock won it, is with us next Tuesday. He was also our goalkeeping coach for a couple of years when things were interesting. So I'm sure we'll get a good viewpoint from him. Ethan, thanks once again. And on behalf of probably all Barnsley fans, I hope it's 8 wins out of 9 for you and Brentford when the season starts going.
Cheers, man. I take that.
Good night all and stay safe.